before we begin, now that we're all recording, I've been like going back and re-listening to our early episodes, like from the beginning. And you know how like if you read about like an artist who
where's this going?
is like further on in their career and they look back at their early work and sometimes they're like embarrassed and they see all the things they would change and do differently. Yeah. So I was going back and I was re-listening to our early episodes and I felt none of that. We hit it out of the park on the first try. Good job, everybody. Mm-hmm. High fives all around.
But you can't check your six. It's kind of like, taking a screwdriver to a gunfight. What's happening? Just like old times, huh?
Are we ready to go?
I think so.
Okay.
We gotta keep this one short. I can't.
We gotta keep this one. I'm with you on this. I'm ready to not talk about this movie at all.
Huh?
I'm ready to not talk about this movie at all.
Yeah. No, I have a lot to say, and I want to get out as quickly as possible, and then I think we just need to move on.
Oh, I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Aaron?
Well, the thing about which we have nothing to say is welcome to episode 26 of Steven Seagal, and we are not really reviewing, I don't think we review these movies really, we just kind of talk about them.
We literally give them a star rating at the end.
Yeah, but that's not like the point. That's not the point.
To be fair, a good review, good critique is examination that kind of then also, like, it shouldn't just, like, a review should be more than just the review.
Yeah, I think we critique them. We don't just review them.
We're artists.
That's what I'll say.
We have a discussion about society and, like, the artist behind the work and, like, the autorial process and,
and the
socioeconomic conditions that lead to these movies and geopolitical issues. And also at the end, we say, yeah, it's like 1 out of 5 stars. We're artists.
And all of that is bad. And the artist we're talking about is Steven Seagal. And the movie we're talking about is probably called Urban Justice. Although at the beginning of the movie, when the title card comes up, it says Renegade Justice.
You were watching the United Kingdom. You were watching the UK release.
Oh, okay.
If you saw Renegade Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one on Amazon Prime is apparently the UK version, which says Renegade Justice.
Nobody double-checked the file when they uploaded this, I guarantee.
No, I don't think anybody really cared, especially because almost all of the audio sounds like everyone's voices were recorded on like a flip phone.
Someone at Steamroller Productions just put the MP4 up and didn't care.
It seriously sounds like all the dialogue was recorded over the phone. Like it's highly compressed. It has like this weird reverb to it. It's very odd and it's very difficult to listen to.
That's interesting because the version we have was I have some problems with the audio, but it wasn't like that.
It was very weird, very distracting. Pretty much the whole movie.
So the Amazon Prime version was not the 70mm dual laser film IMAX directorial vision of Urban Justice.
No, and when I saw the title Urban Justice on a Seagal movie, I was very afraid.
I have been so worried about this movie for like the last 3 months. I'm not going to lie. Every time I saw the title, my mind just went, oh no. I've been dreading this movie more than any other based on title alone.
And
Turns
we
out
were
those
kind
fears
of
were
right.
Justified.
Yeah, it was justified. We were right.
And we are the most qualified people to talk about that. The three of us.
Yeah. 3 white dudes in their late 20s.
I'd post a picture of us, but it would just look like a blizzard with like a little speck of red floating in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It would be a polar bear in a blizzard holding a sheet of paper.
But I can say, as 3 white guys, I don't think anyone could pay me enough to have been involved in the making of this movie. I wouldn't want to put my name on this thing, which is sad because there are actually some really interesting people involved in this dumpster fire.
Honestly.
But
take us through it. Take us through the plot of Renegade Urban Justice.
So it is somewhat straightforward. So there is a detective named Max Ballister who is working on some sort of like gang violence case. It's a little vague exactly what he's working on. He witnesses some cops basically like stop and frisk some black men on the street and rob them in an alleyway, and hand off the stuff that they stole from them to another cop car that was driving by. And so Max, who is a detective, seems to be like on some sort of police corruption case. Like he's discovered some evidence that there's like police corruption and things. And so late one night, he gets a message from presumably someone who's in charge of him to go meet him late at night. It's an emergency. And he is killed in a drive-by shooting. And there's one bullet fired, and the Jello cannons they got for this movie are intense.
Jello cannons.
It was probably the best part of this movie was the squibs.
They are ridiculous. So at the funeral, Steven Seagal stands weirdly like halfway behind a tree during the funeral of his son. Steven Seagal in this one plays Simon Ballister. Everyone just refers to him as Ballister. I don't know. They probably say his first name once. But Simon Ballister, he's on the case now. And he has some sort of background in intelligence. I don't think he ever makes it like explicit what. I imagine it's CIA again.
The Wikipedia summary describes him as a martial arts expert who is implied to be ex-CIA.
That's what I was going to say.
He has access at one point to some sort of like super secret online database where he can just like access the police records.
Satellite uplink.
It's in Los Angeles, by the way. He can just like access the Los Angeles Police Department records. But anyway, he's tracking down he's trying to find who killed his son, specifically the person who fired the gun. He mentions several times that he doesn't care who ordered the hit for some reason. He just cares about who pulled the trigger. Doesn't matter who ordered the hit, just who pulled the trigger. He actually like finds the people who ordered the hit and just kind of lets them go. And they let him go for no reason. So he ends up getting mixed up with the rogue detectives who are like working with local gangs to push drugs, and with those gangs who are working with the cops to steal drugs from other gangs. Like there's this gang, like the East Side Gangsters, I think they're called.
The Hyde Park Gang or the
Hyde Park Gang, that's what they're called.
Okay.
And they work with these corrupt cops to basically on like sting operations.
Oh, and then they just you're right. It's the East Side Gangsters are working with the corrupt cops. They're rivals.
Yes.
Hyde Park Gang. Yeah.
Yes. So the East Side Gangsters work with the corrupt cops on like sting operations and stuff. And so the East Side Gangsters just show up because the cops tell them when these operations are going to be. Wait for like drug deals and stuff to go wrong and everybody to die, and then they just come in, take all the drugs and the money and go home. And that's kind of like the deal that they have with the cops. And hijinks ensue for like an hour that don't really matter. They're like shooting at each other. There's one of these gangsters who's not really a gangster. He has a brother who's high up in the gang. And I'm trying to figure out what was this kid's name.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary. So this kid, Gary, his brother is involved in the gang. But he was friends with Max, the cop. And so he helps Seagal like figure out all the gang related stuff. Although he's trying to throw Seagal off at first, because he doesn't want to get in trouble with the gang. But eventually Seagal quote unquote convinces him by, like beating up his brother and holding a gun to his head, to tell him who really ordered the hit and who really pulled the trigger. And it turns out that it was one of the dirty cops. It was Detective Frank Shaw, played by Kirk Waller, who I want to talk about him because I recognized him instantly from a different piece of media that we'll talk about in a second. But eventually there's like a big showdown. There's supposed to be like a big drug deal that the cops help arrange between the East Side gang and some East Coast gang who flies all the way to LA to pick up this massive shipment of drugs, and then they're going to go back. But it all goes south when they find out that the drugs are fake, which there was no way of knowing that. I don't really know why that was part of it. It didn't really have to be, but it's fine, whatever. Seagal kills everybody, pretty much, except for like the head of the East Side Gang. They get into a little fight, but then Seagal says, "My problem's not with you. I don't really care. I killed the guy who killed my son. I'm just going to walk away now." And the head of the gang just lets him walk.
You're very much burying the lead that when you say the head of the gang, you mean Armand Tucker, as played by stand-up comedian and undercover
Eddie
brother
Griffin.
Eddie Griffin.
I was surprised by the star power in this movie. But anyway, he walks away, and then, as far as I can remember, the movie basically just stops after that.
Yeah.
He walks down the hallway. Eddie Griffin says, "Wow, that was a really cool guy," and then the movie ends.
Or as Wikipedia would say, Simon hands back the gun and leaves, earning Tucker's respect with his cool demeanor.
Yeah,
I think this Wikipedia article was written by Seagal.
Except Seagal killed like 30 of his gang.
All of them. Every single one. He's the only one left.
Like, his entire operation is destroyed. Why would he not shoot Seagal? But anyway.
Because he earned his respect with his cool demeanor.
Sure, why not? This is also, I just want to say at the outset, the most vulgar Seagal movie, just in language.
Oh, by far.
By far.
Oh, for sure.
Like, there are whole scenes where every sentence contains some sort of expletive. It's impressive. But general impressions of the movie?
Seagal thinks he's a black guy in this one.
It's rough.
This entire movie is Seagal like trying to show like how cool he is and black people liking him, and like he is, you know how like when he goes to Japan and he is more Japanese than Japanese people, this feels like Seagal is trying to be blacker than black people living in LA. Like, he is dishing out urban justice.
Unless he's talking to Mexicans, then he's more Mexican than the Mexicans. Because he has a brief interaction with a Mexican gang, run by El Chivo, played by Danny Trejo, who's back.
Oh my God, Danny Trejo, just a shining a bright little spot in this turd pile.
Who just like acts circles around Seagal.
But I love the one scene he was there for.
Yeah.
The worst part, the hardest part is like, this is one of the least worst, like, the movie itself in a way is better, but I think it's like, oftentimes it's like, oh, this movie could be good with another actor. This is maybe like without Seagal in the lead role, this is maybe the worst it's been, where like this movie could have been pretty solid, but he like drags it down. He is like even more of a quality black hole than he is in like most of these movies.
A quality black hole.
Well, and like, it just felt like they had a good storyboard somewhere.
Right.
And they had a good outline written, but the direction wasn't very good. Like, Eddie Griffin playing Armand, I could tell watching it. I imagine he was just told improvise.
Absolutely. My man was just riffing. He was just Eddie Griffin. He was not gang leader, Armand Tucker. He was...
No, sometimes it works, sometimes it really doesn't.
Riffing. And he was still... he was okay, and he was one of the best parts of the movie. He was, like, fine.
Yeah.
Eddie Griffin can be pretty funny. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't blowing me away, but, like, still one of the second best part of the movie behind Danny Trejo, like, appearing for, like, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I'd say he was better than... I mean, it's a comedian acting in a drama role. I think he did... Considering what he was given, I think he did a phenomenal job.
Well, I would agree with that, except he was not a comedian acting in a drama role. He was... They were like, hey, be a gangster. And he's like, do I actually have to be a gangster? They're like, no, you could just kind of be Eddie Griffin. And he's like, okay. And then he just kind of is Eddie Griffin, but also like he's holding a gun.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
which maybe Eddie Griffin just does already in real life, for all I know.
A lot of the time, I don't know. I don't want to be too hard on the director, Don FauntLeRoy, who did direct like 4 Seagal movies.
So this is his
and a whole bunch of garbage.
Like 4th or 5th Seagal movie, I want to say.
Yeah.
We should recognize the name Don E. FauntLeRoy. I will also point out, he was also in the opening credits. Director of photography was also Don E. FauntLeRoy.
Yes,
he was DP on this as well.
Yeah, and so it just felt like this is, I think, a really good example of what happens to a movie when the direction isn't very strong, and it just each individual scene. Like, I understand what the scene is trying to do within the greater narrative, but the scene doesn't work very well because everyone's just kind of doing stuff, and it's not connected. Like, no one seems to understand why. It's hard to act when you're not told like why I'm saying these lines. Like, what is the context? What is the purpose of this scene? If the actor doesn't understand what the purpose of the scene is, then he's not going to act it in the way that it's meant to be acted.
Although, in the movie's defense, this might be the most cohesive we've seen in a while.
Yes.
Like, we have a lot of movies
there's like
where
a
it's
through line. You can follow it.
This
It's
movie,
a revenge plot. It's pretty simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this movie was supposed to be a horror alien invasion on a submarine, and then it is like 3 different Michael Bay movies plus The Matrix crammed into one, and you completely lost the plot of the original. This movie is trying to be this, and then somehow in the edit came out to be this. It was supposed to have like vampires and then became drug dealers. This is like they wrote an old man, like a guy's son gets killed in, rival police corruption and rival drug gangs, and he gets revenge on everybody for that. And that's what emerged on the other end. So that honestly needs like a little participation
Bravo.
award. Like, I can tell that the movie you made is the movie you set out to make. And we don't get a lot of those. We have not had a lot of those recently.
No.
So good job, Donnie FauntLeRoy. You managed to wrangle Seagal in enough this time.
Yeah. I just don't have a whole lot to say here. Just like some little things. Like I already said, the audio quality is very strange, at least on the Amazon Prime version. Like, it sounds like some of the lines were recorded over the phone. Like, they're highly compressed. It looks like some of the cameras that they used were damaged. I think they might have been working on... it's very common on a movie set to be working with like rented equipment. It's very expensive to just like outright own the equipment. But I think they kind of might have rented like the cheap stuff. There are multiple scenes where from one camera angle, there was like, in an early scene, there was like a vertical line on the left side. Like, the sensor was slightly damaged, but it's only from one angle. So it was just that one camera in the scene. Then much later in the movie, in the bottom right hand corner, there was like a hair on the lens or something. Like, the just really weird little flaws like that, which were not like editing mistakes. Like, that doesn't happen in editing. So there was something wrong with the camera, and they didn't notice until they went to go edit, and they couldn't really do anything about it. So they're just like little things like that. I'm very sad that I really don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. There is one actor that I want to talk about. There are quite a few actors in this who did go on to do not like super big things, but stuff.
Okay, so I think Hans actually has a few things. Do you want to just rattle off what you got?
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'll go down through my list. So in the very beginning, Max, his son that gets killed, he drives up to the point where he sees the corrupt cops being corrupt cops, and he stops his car short, and coffee spills out of his mug, and they made a whole point to show that he has like a travel mug, but it doesn't have a lid on it, and then coffee spews out of the top. Who drives with a travel mug without the lid? It's so
you
dumb.
can tell it's a
matter.
deeply fascinating movie when this is what the discussion on the podcast becomes.
Exactly.
Why doesn't he have a lid on his travel mug?
Like, this is what they showed. They made the scene about this, and it doesn't matter. He does, like, when he gets out of the car, he doesn't have a stain on his pants. Like, it's just that's so stupid. After he dies, his funeral, they do a 21 gun salute, but with shotguns.
With shotguns?
Is that I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but that doesn't sound.
I was actually Googling this earlier today.
Like pump action shotguns.
I can't find anything about that. I celebrate a lot of funerals. I've been to a lot of burials. And I've seen lots of 21 gun salutes. I have never seen it done with shotguns. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Just that I've never seen it or heard of it.
Yeah, it was odd. Like I said, I could be wrong.
Very specific choice.
Yeah, just seemed really weird. His voice, Seagal's voice, really deep and quiet for no reason. Like, it sounded like he smoked 800 packs of cigarettes in the months between the last movie and this one. Don't know why. And then they played the music and the sound effects in this movie were so loud compared to his voice that I'm constantly adjusting the volume up and down to actually hear the dialogue. It was ridiculous. So stupid. His son dies, but you wouldn't know it. He doesn't show any emotion about that. He's at the funeral and he just kind of squints. The whole movie, he's just kind of squinting, talking about how he needs to get revenge for his son. He doesn't actually show any emotion. His face doesn't change. I don't understand how this man made this many movies. Like, who wanted him for this? It just doesn't make sense. I counted at least 4 actors that I looked at them and said, "Holy crap, they were in Breaking Bad."
Yeah.
Carmen Serrano played Alice Park in this movie. She ran the convenience store that he rented an apartment above. She was Carmen something in Breaking Bad, the principal of his son's school.
Oh, Carmen Molina.
Yeah.
She was the principal.
Danny
Okay, I
Trejo.
knew I recognized her from somewhere.
Danny Trejo, obviously
Danny
in Breaking
Trejo.
Bad.
Also, writer of Trejo's Tacos.
Of
author
course.
of Trejo's Tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Seal,
Probably what
he
he's
was one
most
of the
known
gangsters
for,
in this one. He was also one of the gangsters in Breaking Bad. Jesus Jr., he played
Jesus.
Gonzo in Breaking Bad. Yeah, he played Jesus in this one. But there were every time I would see somebody, I'd be like, "Oh man, they were in Breaking Bad. Oh, they were in Breaking Bad. Oh, they were in Breaking Bad."
Well, this is funny because we've talked about Breaking Bad a lot, but it was like someone in the 90s who would then later appear in Breaking Bad. This was like a year before Breaking Bad came out.
Yeah.
They there was possibly some overlap.
Right in the middle of this movie, there's like the lamest car chase in the history of movies. It was just terrible.
With just a bunch of straight lines.
And I'm
like
not
they'll
even
drive
gonna
for
get into it.
in
Well,
a
the whole time
straight
they're
line for a
shooting, like,
couple
oh man,
minutes.
this guy's crazy. He's all over the road. And then they show a car driving in the lane, like at 35 miles an hour, using its turn signal and like applying the brake at reasonable speeds.
It was just so stupid.
I did think to myself, could I just skip ahead 30 seconds and miss nothing? I didn't do it, but I was very ready to just skip that car chase.
Yeah. In the climax of the movie, the gang all gets together at his apartment above the convenience store, the whole gang, and they have everybody there to kill him, and he manages to wipe out almost all of them. There's like 4 guys left. He gets shot, and then the 4 guys just like run away.
Yeah, Seagal gets shot in this one.
Yeah, he does.
It doesn't matter at all. He might as well have not been shot, but
he passes out, and the owner of the convenience store has her cousin or somebody come patch him up, and then he just goes straight from there to the house of the kid who was helping him find the people, whatever, and I don't know why, didn't say why he went there. He just decided he was going to go there, and he finds a gun and starts accusing the kid of shooting his son with this gun, and then the kid explains it's like they tried to do an Ocean's 11, like here's what actually happened, but it doesn't.
You mean a Spider-Man 3, here's what actually happened?
Yeah.
When we learned how the Sandman did not kill his father, but he was accidentally bumped and didn't mean to kill his father.
Yeah.
Sorry, Uncle. Jeez, Uncle Ben. God, come on.
And it's not. It's like they realized. Oh wait, we actually have to like wrap this up at some point. So have him just go to the next place without any direction. Just didn't make any sense. And then there's my last thing. I guess I had a little bit more than I said, but I still just want to be done with it. The last thing, my favorite line. It's an awful, stupid line. The owner of the drugstore says to him as he's loading up his gun for like his final assault, she goes, "So this is revenge?" And he says, "Yeah, that's what this is," implying it's, getting revenge for this gang killing his son. And she just looks at him and goes, "Why?"
What? Where have you been?
Where have you been? And that's not her fault. That's whatever idiot. I'm sorry, Gilmar Forrest II, but you did a bad job writing this movie. Oh, I didn't like it. Had a bad time. And I'm not qualified to talk about it, so I'm done talking about it.
I think this movie is worse than a lot of the ones we've watched in some ways, but I did not have as bad of a time watching it as I have some other movies.
Yeah.
This is a lot of times you see when a movie's dumb, like, oh, just turn your brain off and you'll enjoy it. And I don't tend to agree with that line of like film criticism enjoyment. But this is, I think, one of the closest we have to like just kind of turn your brain off. Like things happen and just the moving pictures can kind of like vaguely entertain a nearly catatonic person. That's my praise for the movie. If I was like in like locked in syndrome, like in a coma in a hospital or something, and this was on TV, like it wouldn't be the worst Seagal movie to have on.
This is true.
The only thing,
not the bottom.
Except I would wake up from my coma, like just like thinking, like, why did I hear the N-word like 500 times, like while I was out?
It was intense.
That was weird. Weird coma.
Weird coma.
I was just this is a very specific me thing. I highly doubt you two have seen this, but the like head of the corrupt cops, Detective Frank Shaw, is played by Kirk Waller, who I said earlier I recognized immediately because he plays Gaius in The Chosen, which is a TV show that's going on right now, which is probably the best piece of Bible media currently out there.
Wow, the huge market. Yeah, tough competition.
You would be surprised, actually. There's a lot of crappy Bible stuff.
I know there's lots of crappy Bible stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like tough competition with the prestige Bible content out there.
But he is part of it's actually very, very, very good. And he plays Gaius, who is Matthew, the tax collector's bodyguard. He's a very interesting character.
How often does he come up in the show being a tax collector's bodyguard?
So Matthew, the apostle, was a tax collector before he became an apostle.
Yeah.
And he had a bodyguard who guarded him at the tax booth because he collects money. And so like the whole premise of the show is that they like elaborate on minor characters in the Bible.
Oh, okay.
So they're just using like historical evidence and things. It's historical fiction during the Bible times about like minor characters that show up.
I was going to say, I went to Sunday school a lot growing up. We never talked about the apostles before, the bodyguards of the apostles before they were apostles. That did not.
Yeah, the whole point of the show is like these people who are just like barely mentioned. Let's, kind of fictionalize and hypothesize about what their lives were like. And he plays one of the most interesting characters, one of the most interesting like minor characters in that show, a Roman centurion. Fairly high-ranking Roman soldier, and he does a really good job with it, and it's great, and it's really interesting to watch him. But it was very weird to see this movie and see him like throwing around the F word and selling
do that
drugs.
In the Bible show a lot?
No, not at all. Actually, does not come up in the Bible show.
What a surprise!
Yeah, really good Bible show though. Very, very good.
Yeah. I don't want to get into specifics, but I this isn't typically my bag, but I just poked through all the people, all the A-listers from this movie, and they all had much bigger and better credits for the past 15 years.
Well, wait, can I say the random weird thing that I recognized Kirk Waller from?
Sure.
He was in towards the end of the first season of Bones. He randomly pops up in like one episode.
There you go.
And the wife and I are currently in a Bones rewatch, so
when
I look him up,
a Bones rewatch. What is this, number 6?
For her, for me, it's only like 2 or 3 or something. But when I see that he was also in like Swordfish and Minority Report and Hulk and stuff, I'm like, okay, I've seen those movies, but he's like some random cop in Minority Report. Like I didn't recognize him from there. Did recognize him from Bones. Didn't think that's where I recognize him from, but yeah.
Is it the same feeling as when Gavin Belson shows up in Bones?
Oh my gosh, that was still so weird. I like can't get over that. Gavin Belson from Silicon Valley, I'm sorry, I forget the actor's name, shows up as a lawyer in an episode of Bones. It's weird.
This movie is just so blah and bland. I'm struggling to say anything interesting about it. I can't even like make stuff up that's interesting. At one point, some of the gangsters refer to Steven Seagal, like they describe him as resembling Paul Bunyan.
It was a big guy, a big Paul Bunyan motherfucker or something like that.
Yeah,
I forgot about
big white guy.
Which like, I don't know much about Los Angeles gang culture. I highly doubt they would use Paul Bunyan as a touchstone. Maybe they do. Maybe they're really big into American mythology, but I doubt it.
That was a good line.
We got some classic Seagal moments, flashbacks to things that never happened.
Squinting, just always the squinting.
Lots of
squinting.
Emotion,
no smile, no frown, no angry eyes, nothing. Just squinting.
Lines which are very obviously improvised.
So listen,
squibs that are just way too big for whatever actually hit the person.
Like the amount of blood that like shoots out of somebody gets shot in the chest, and the blood that shoots out forward from their chest and then also backward from their back. It looks like they got shot with a tank round.
It's ridiculous.
Okay,
usually for these movies, I have 2.5 pages of notes. This one, I barely have 1 page.
Okay, so 2 things. First of all, again, as previously stated, the squibs are maybe my favorite part in this. 2, Hans, you'll actually enjoy this. We were watching the episode of Bones where this guy goes to
Everybody,
use...
welcome to the Bones podcast.
Welcome to Boneheads. Not that one, not the official Bones Listen fan cast with Emily Deschanel and the actress that plays Daisy.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, didn't I send you this article? Yeah, they're Boneheads is a podcast that they're doing a rewatch. It's Emily Deschanel, who plays Temperance Brennan, and
does Sarah listen to it?
She hasn't started listening to it yet, but wait, hold on. Carla Gallo, who plays Daisy Wick. Hi, welcome to Boneheads, the other one, not the real official one with
Boneheads
Emily
with a
Deschanel and
Z.
Carla Gallo in it. This is Boneheads 2. Boner heads, bonist heads.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
But no, you'll enjoy this, Hans. We were watching the episode of Bones where this trucker goes to use an outhouse, and when he's lighting a cigarette, the outhouse explodes, and they find a body inside the outhouse. One of the people that they interrogate at some point, it's John DiMaggio. It's Bender. Is
it really?
Yeah, he that's what it was. We were watching, and all of a sudden, he's there. I'm okay, he's not in it for much, but I'm sorry, we're completely off track. This is not related to the Skull movie at all. We were watching a Skull movie, and one of the actors in the Skull movie was in an episode of Bones, and then 4 seasons later, a voice actor was in a different episode.
That will tell you, dear listener, how boring this movie is.
Yeah, that little fun fact is a heck of a lot more interesting than the entire hour and a half of movie that I just watched.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say about Renegade Urban Justice.
Danny Trejo is a gem. He always is.
For the 2 minutes that he's in this.
Yeah. It's like they caught him on an off day or something. He was just strolling through the neighborhood, and they were like, "Hey, you want to be in this movie?" And he said, "Yeah, I got 20 minutes." And he aced it.
I think it has to be something like that. They're "Can you fit him in the schedule?" He's in one scene. But I was going to say, he's in this one scene for 10 seconds. They put him on the poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
I thought he was going to play a bigger role.
Well, yeah, because especially there's feuding gangs, and he's the head of the one gang. He is El Chivo. He is the goat. And then Seagal talks to him once.
He's in the opening credits.
Yeah.
It's Steven Seagal in big letters. Danny Trejo, same size letters. He's in this movie for 2 minutes.
Seagal talks to him, and he's like, "Oh, actually, you're a gangster, but you're kind of cool." And then that's it.
That's it. What's the line? He says something about you're a bad man. You're like me. You're a bad man with good intentions. And then they share some tequila, and that's that.
And it's the best part of the movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Eddie Griffin kind of doing his little bits is kind of fun, but
everybody else everybody was good. They were good actors, just brought down by a crap movie and crap Seagal and
everything was on the boring side.
Crap
of
writing.
Fine. It was fine.
What's your favorite quotes and star ratings and all that?
I already gave you mine.
Paul Bunyan.
I deleted my notes already.
Those words because it threw me off.
Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan.
My favorite was when Shaw says "Merry f***ing Christmas" and Eddie Griffin says, "Man, f*** Santa Claus. He never got me shit. That's why I sell dope." Because I'm assuming that was just he's not credited as a writer on this.
No.
Allegedly, the writers on this are just one writer. That's
it's
weird.
Gilmar Fortis II, and I'm sorry, dude, but this sucked.
Well, I was ready for there to be multiple
things.
writers with Seagal listed there. Oh geez, what else did he write?
He wrote this, and I was looking at it just a second ago, but I didn't recognize what it was. Off Season, the Lex Morrison story in 2013. It's a TV movie.
Sure. Okay, he's doing well for himself. But I'm assuming that one was an Eddie Griffin line.
Yeah, I'm assuming he just made that one up. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is probably 1 star for me.
Yeah.
I'll give it 1.5.
You just got to be different.
Man, we are. we all sound just exhausted.
So what would we watch instead?
Yes.
Literally, okay, here's what I recommend instead. Literally, just turn on your television. If you have cable, actually, turn on your cable.
If you have
I
cable,
know nobody does that
it.
anymore.
Just
get rid of it. Don't have it, but if you still
get Hulu
do,
or something,
just go to the FX channel, whatever it's currently playing, whatever is currently on TV. just watch that instead. I guarantee you it's at least more interesting than this. Even if it's worse. If it were any worse, it would be more interesting. If it were any better, it would be more interesting. This is the saltine cracker of revenge films.
Just a saltine cracker.
Wait,
It's just funny that you use that
do
phrase.
A whole bunch of research and find that saltines were actually really interesting.
No, Triscuits are really interesting.
Those are
Triscuits. You're right.
The
electricity
Triscuit is
cracker.
fascinating. This is
No,
not
Aaron,
the
I
Triscuit.
was just going to
Right.
say
of
it's
revenge
interesting that you
films.
compare this movie to a cracker based on how many times it uses the N-word, but
It is. It's rough.
This is why I don't feel comfortable talking about
I
it.
wanted to just recommend for my movie to watch instead. I wanted to just say like everything Eddie Griffin has been in, but Eddie Griffin has been in both Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, and Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo. And this movie is pretty bad, but I don't think I can in good faith recommend either of the Deuce Bigelow films. So I can't say any other movie Eddie Griffin has been in, but you should definitely watch Undercover Brother. That is like one of my favorite comedies. He was apparently in Scary Movie 3.
Sure.
I haven't watched Scary Movie 3 in a while, but sure, yeah, watch that.
Why not?
Why not? What else do you have?
You'll
to
have a
lose?
better time.
Why not?
Or any of his
Hey,
stand-up
watch The
specials. He's
Chosen.
basically doing a stand-up special in the middle of this movie.
Watch The Chosen. Kirk Waller plays a Roman soldier.
Bones.
It's really good. You learn a little bit about Jesus, which I'm always for.
Watch Bones, Season 4, Episode 3, The Man in the Outhouse, with John DiMaggio.
Who has nothing to do with this, but
But he's just like he's just a fun guy.
you could also, if you want more John DiMaggio content, you could watch like all of Adventure Time, Jake the Dog.
Or the new
Futurama.
Futurama reboot that just came out.
Yeah. Literally just like roll dice and pick a random piece of content or media and just go do that instead. Read a book. Hey, read some more
how
books.
come? Well, we never thought of that. Hey, you know what movie you should watch instead of this? How about pick up a book? How about put the remote down and pick a book up?
It's
So
rotting your
educate
brain.
yourself.
It's definitely rotting my brain.
How about you expand that mind?
Yeah.
What about you, Hans?
Yeah.
What would you recommend instead of this?
Oh man, I don't even know. I'm gonna go ahead and pass the buck to future Hans.
What?
And
You can do that?
recommend,
I didn't know that was allowed.
Wait, hold on.
That was an option.
I didn't know it told me that was an option.
Wait.
Oh, he's got something. He's got something. What is it?
Wait.
Here we go.
Wait.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass the buck to future Hans and recommend Pistol Whipped because that's what we have to watch next week.
Yo, hold on. You're messing with my mind here. What you should watch instead of the Seagal movie is a future Seagal movie that we haven't watched yet. You've messed up the timeline, Hans. You've created a paradox.
Yeah, I
This
don't
is
wanna deal
future
with it.
Hans. This is Hans from the future coming
That's
back and
my-
telling us to watch this.
So is your recommendation for next week gonna be, instead of watching Pistol Whipped, that you should watch Urban Justice?
No, I can't pull that again.
Also, you should not watch Urban Justice.
You probably shouldn't
Can't
watch Pistol Whipped. I'm sorry, I haven't watched it yet.
chances are probably not. No, I cannot, in good conscience, recommend the last 15 Seagal movies that we watched.
How many Seagal movies have we watched, Aaron?
This is number 26.
This is 26. I cannot in good faith
Yeah.
recommend that you watch any of the last 26 Seagal movies we've watched.
Well, okay, there is still one that I would say, okay, if you're going to see any of them, you should probably see this, and it's Under Siege 2.
But just watching Under Siege 2 is sociopathic.
You can't just watch Under Siege 2. You
I've
won't
seen-
understand the plot. You
I've
have to
seen
watch
one
Under
Steven
Siege
Seagal
1.
You
film
do
and
not
it's
need
Under
to
Siege
see
2.
Under
Who are
Siege
you?
1
That
to
person
understand
doesn't
Under
exist.
Siege
That
2.
person is not allowed to exist.
Under Siege 2 Dark Territory is basically its own
won't-
thing.
You won't understand the underlying themes if you don't watch the first one.
No, I'm just.
There are
if you
no
say you've
themes.
only watched one Seagal movie and you just say Under Siege 2, the universe hits the delete key on you. That's not allowed to happen.
Why? Under
wrong.
Siege 1 isn't nearly as fun. And Under Siege 2 has nothing to do with Under Siege 1. It's just that
It
Seagal
doesn't.
has the same character name in both of them. That's literally it.
But it's weird to have only seen number 2 in any series or from any actor.
Have you ever seen... Is there a first Piranha movie?
I haven't seen Piranha 2.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you had.
Have you seen Troll 2?
I have not seen Troll 1. Okay, you got me there.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Oh, and wait, okay. So we'll carve out a niche here, which I was going to carve out a niche, but I think I can feel myself getting lawyered. I'm walking myself into the trap in the cross-examination because you're going to say, aha, I got you now. But let me finish. I'll let you, I'll let you have your ace attorney moment, but let me walk myself into my own trap. I was going to say we'll carve out an exception for these like infamously like so bad they're good movies, because I was going to say, okay, well, you do have Silent Night, Deadly Night, where you really just have to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. You have Troll 2, you don't have to watch Troll 1. You have Piranha 2, directed by James Cameron, where you don't have to watch Piranha 1. But I recognize that this exemption I'm trying to carve out, you could also reasonably argue Under Siege 2 fits neatly into. So there we go. I'm sorry, the defense rests. You can have your objection. This is your big climactic, like, my Cousin Vinny moment where you caught me. I'm sorry, Marissa, you got me.
Thank you.
You could be watching My Cousin Vinny.
You should watch My Cousin
Vinny. It's a good movie.
Yeah, that's good. That's a movie.
Yeah, I'm done with this one. I don't really want to talk about it anymore.
You can watch Boys in the Hood. That's a good movie.
Yeah. Probably more sensitive treatment of race relations in America.
What about just gang movies? You can watch Goodfellas. You can watch Gangs of New York. You can watch The Warriors, Menace to Society, American History X. You got options. How are we gonna end this?
I don't know. I just care about this movie so little. I'm actively trying to forget about it. Urban Justice, more like no justice for me because I had to watch this.
Well, we're just over the halfway point, so that's something.
Just over the halfway point. I wanted this to be celebratory. I wanted this to be a celebratory episode.
You
because
fool!
We're, like,
you absolutely
more than halfway done.
You thought this could be a celebratory moment.
I know. I just have to do everything that we already did and do it again. I've already done it, so it's fine.
Okay, wait. Do you want to know why I'm a little excited for next week's movie, Pistol Whipped?
Why are we a little excited for next week's movie, Pistol Whipped?
Matt Connor is an unemployed drinking deadbeat.
Yes.
With gambling.
Yes. Yeah, and I haven't read any further.
Unemployed gambling deadbeat, former CIA agent.
Is it going to turn out, because we've gone down that road before. We thought that he was, because in one of them wasn't even a car thief or something, but then it turned out that he was actually undercover the whole time. Mm-hmm. Is this going to be the same thing? Where
I don't know. I'm not reading ahead. I'm not reading spoilers, but the poster has like a casino, like, cards and like a casino table and stuff. I need to know what Seagal trying to be an unemployed drinking deadbeat looks like.
Well, he's never played a vulnerable.
Right, that's the thing. This is a character down on his luck. Seagal doesn't do that.
No. So I would be willing to bet you $5 that he
rather
it's
appropriate
like
for this gambling movie.
Yeah, I bet you like $10 right now that actually he's not unemployed.
Wait, no, you guys can't. I think you're betting the same thing. You can't all bet the same thing.
No, it's a casino movie. I am upping the bet.
I bet.
That's not.
I bet $15 that he does a dumb, like, super low gravelly voice in this one.
I bet $20 that less than half the movie actually has anything to do with the casino.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, that's some good money. I'll call and raise and put it into the patchy slots and see where that takes us.
Yeah.
Craps. Hit me.
Put it all on red.
Put on red. I'll double or nothing $50 that he wears like a stupid trench coat or something in a situation where that is entirely uncalled for. On like a hot summer day in Las Vegas that he's wearing like a black trench coat.
I'll bet you $50,000 that a random woman finds him inexplicably attractive.
That is somehow...
I'd actually take you up on that bet.
That is the most outrageous and also the safest bet I've ever heard anybody make. I'm just so except now. Okay, this is funny. You've seen Uncut Gems, right?
No,
I haven't.
I have not.
Damn it, my reference is gonna be lost.
But hey, there's probably some listener who's seen Uncut Gems, right?
Well, I'll just late spoiler. But like in Uncut Gems, at one point he puts a lot of money on a basketball game, and he's like watching the game, and the whole time when he's like, oh. oh, they're down. Like, he's stressing. I'm just picturing with your $50,000 bet that like a woman appears on screen and you're just like Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems, just like, oh, is she gonna just find him inexplicably attractive? I need this to come. I need this to pull through for me. I got a lot riding on this. And, like another woman shows up and he's like, okay, it's my time. I'm back on top.
Yeah.
I'm just watching you just feverishly like watching this like the way, gambling addicts watch every single horse race.
Yeah.
You're like tearing up your ticket at the end. No, she didn't find him attractive. Yeah, there's an ending somewhere in there.
I think there's an ending in there somewhere. I'm gonna cut it there.
Sounds good.
That means one of us has to die.
Craps.